slowly. Well, see some people trickling in. We're gonna get started in a minute or two here. We're just gonna wait for the rest of these lovely attendees to show up. Some sweet, all right. Give it 30 more seconds and then we will kick it off. Okay, sweet. Let's go ahead and kick it off. So just for everyone before we get started, if you guys have questions anytime throughout the webinar, please drop them in the Q&A section, and we're looking forward to having you here. And I'm gonna hand it over to Laura.
Hello, everybody. My name is Laura Hegler. I am your friendly neighborhood travel specialist with Global Base Camps. And today we're going to be talking about the Nordic region. So thank you for joining us. We are going to delve into just a little bit, kind of the surface today to get you excited about what's possible in the Nordic region and just give you a little bit of information to kind of start dreaming a bit more about your trip. So I work with Global Base Camps. That's why you're here. I'm sure you know of us already. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me, I've been with Global Base Camps for 14 years now, I think. And I have visited 40 different countries thus far. Local pastimes that I love in the Nordic region are sauna is how they say it, sauna, fjord swimming, particularly in conjunction with sauna, and drinking coffee, which is a huge part of the culture in many of these countries. It's delightful, lots of wonderful cafes. I've been fortunate enough to see the aurora twice in my travels. The next destination I'll be going to is Vietnam next month, and then I have a family trip for Tromsø and Oslo for November because my son's absolutely obsessed with Vikings right now. On my flight, you'd find me knitting or reading. And my favorite Nordic food, cloudberries and the mushrooms that you can find out wild in the forests. And we'll touch base on that in a little bit. So, our focus today, we're going to talk about country options, seasonal highlights, and weather in the areas, a little bit more about the local culture and what you can experience there, what to expect, and then how can Global Base Camps help you make the best trip possible for you and your family and meet your goals and expectations for your trip and find destinations that maybe you hadn't considered before and might be a wonderful fit for you. All right, so first and foremost, Nordic region. We can assist with Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Faroe Islands, Svalbard. We can also assist with Greenland if that's something you're interested in doing. But all of these areas are absolutely phenomenal and have a ton to offer. And we're just going to touch base on a little bit of what they have to offer today. So, which country is going to be the best fit for you? Let's find out. Iceland has so many things to offer. Here you can see Thorsmark Nature Reserve, the Thingvellir National Park, where you have the Continental Divide. You can just go and see absolutely rugged wild nature there. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can see their geysers, which they call geysers, and they're phenomenal. You can even go scuba diving in the Continental Rift. And I mean, that's pretty amazing. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but my friend did and had wonderful things to say. You can go whale watching up in Husavik into the north of the island. You can go and check out the beautiful sites in the national parks if you do the ring road. This one is to the south. I'm sorry, to the south west of the country. This is Snathiljokel National Park, and I apologize in advance. I do not speak any of these languages fluently, so if any of you do, feel free to laugh at my pronunciation. We have the Northern Lights, which I was fortunate enough. One of the places to see them was in Reykjavik. We have the Glomber farm turf houses, so you can see the history, really just how people survived in these rugged climates. And you also have Jolkosalon, which is the icebergs floating in this amazing area and the light bouncing off of them. It looks like crystal. So Denmark, Denmark is, most people tend to want to go to Copenhagen, but there are so many other beautiful areas and wonderful things to experience. So, just as an example here, we do have Copenhagen for the top two photos. And then we have over here Snognebæk Beach in Bornholm. We have the Aarhus Old Town. We have the Finn coastline. And then we have cheese, because who doesn't love cheese? Sorry, vegans. All right, Norway. We have mushrooms, forests, reindeer, amazing fjords, cities built along the fjords. We have more northern lights. We have stave churches, puffins, a lot of unique history, and it's a massive country, so there's a lot to see from north to south and different climates to run into there as well. In Sweden, there are a lot of similarities between Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Don't tell that to someone who's Norwegian, Swedish, or Finnish, because clearly they know that they're somewhat like their neighbors with geography and things, but there is a very unique culture to each of these countries. We have some sites here with the dog sledding, visiting Malmo, visiting Gothenburg, Abisko, Stockholm, and just seeing kind of the difference between the summer and the winter, which are really unique times to go. And then Finland. I fell in love with the national parks in Finland. They have a ton, so beauty and nature is just heaps there. We have the sauna culture, where if you want to get down with the locals, you can get beaten with this lovely thing of sticks and leaves. It's a little aggressive, but it's supposed to stimulate your blood flow. Beautiful Helsinki. These are the cloudberries that I mentioned previously. And then one of the most popular things that our travelers want to do is stay in an igloo and try and see the northern lights. So one of the glass igloo hotels in the north. They have those in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So you have a lot of options. So the seasons in the Nordic region vary a bit from north to south, as I mentioned. There are four unique seasons. They're not necessarily going to coincide with what you're accustomed to in the West, assuming if you're in the US. If you're somewhere else in the world, I'm sure your seasons are going to be slightly different as well. If you're down in the south areas like Oslo and Helsinki, and most of Denmark would be considered south for what we're talking about, you're going to have more of a standard spring, summer, fall. However, the temperatures are going to differ. So, as an example, with their proximity to the Arctic, your average temperature for spring in Helsinki is from 0 to 10 degrees Celsius, so highs in the 50 Fahrenheit. In Norland, up in the higher or the more northern areas, the summer averages are 15 degrees Celsius, which is 59 Fahrenheit. So imagine your height of summer is 59 degrees. That's pretty chilly. And then in southern Oslo, it can get up to 65, 74, give or take. Copenhagen can be a little bit warmer. And then if we go really far to the north and we're talking about Svalbard, then the average temperatures in summer range from 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. So summertime, 37.4 to 44.6 degrees. This gives you an idea. If you really want to experience the cold, the farther north you go, you're set. And the thing to keep in mind is that these cultures are accustomed to the winters and accustomed to the cold because the winter does last a bit longer here. So they have aspects of their culture that kind of celebrate slowing down and enjoying the things that you can do and have more time to do in the winter, as well as sauna, as well as, spending time inside and activities there. We'll touch upon that a little bit more too. We also have the midnight sun and polar nights. So the famed midnight sun occurs in areas north of the Arctic Circle, parts of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland, and that's due to the Earth's tilt and latitude during the Nordic summers. It allows really, really long days. So sometimes when you're visiting in the summer, it seems like it's still middle of the day and it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m. out. It's kind of amazing, but it can trick your body a little bit if you're not used to it. So if you are there in the summer, try to get some sleep still, because it'll really throw you for a loop after a day or two. Then on the flip side, in the northern areas, you also experience the polar night, which can last, they consider it a polar night if it lasts more than 24 hours. In Svalbard, it lasts for months. So people who've researched seasonal depression or how long darkness or long times in darkness affect the human mind and the human body, they will go to places like Svalbard or Tromsø and they'll study that. And it's really kind of fascinating how the local people deal with this without seasonal depression and other things. So let's see. It'll throw your circadian rhythm, like I said. It hit me worse than any jet lag I have ever had, and I regularly travel to Asia. Uh, I went to Iceland and I was destroyed. And I think it was only a 7 hour time difference, but the circadian rhythm was just out the window. So really make sure not to anticipate hitting the ground running. Give yourself a little gentility and take it a little easy when you first arrive, just to acclimate. Uh, just like the rest of the Northern Hemisphere, the Nordic region sees its coldest months in January and February. Late September through early March is the best time to see the aurora, which is one of the questions we get most often. You can see it in late September. I was fortunate enough to see it in late September in about the middle area of Norway. So I know it has been very, very active for the past few years, and it should continue through the end of this year and possibly a little bit more into next year. But you don't have to wait until winter to go. If you want to still have moderate temperatures and you want a chance of seeing the lights, late September is a wonderful option for you. Christmas and subsequent markets celebrations are celebrated throughout that region during the festive season. And that's just around the end of your holidays. If you want to go during that time, particularly if you want to head to the north and visit the Santa's Village or anything like that, which are really popular in northern Finland in particular, but Lapland, Norland, those areas will book up quickly. So up to a year in advance is not at all unheard of. So if that's a time that you want to travel with your family, considering going up there for a few days, doing some dog sledding, meet some reindeers, hang out at Santa's Village, and then go down and visit a capital or two before you head out. That rounds things out really nicely. And I think you could probably do it 6 months in advance, but as far out as possible gives you the most options. All right. So this is beautiful Geiranger. This is one of the most gorgeous and visited fjords in Norway, and it's absolutely stunning. If anybody's interested in delving into films about this region, I highly recommend one called The Wave. I won't get into the plot, but my bus driver, when I happened to be in Norway last year, was in the movie as an extra, and he was very excited when we told him we watched it. Um, go. And then we have, let's see, experiences for warmer seasons. We have kayaking, fishing, lakeside cabins, especially in Finland, are something that everybody happens to have or go to. So if you're friends with a Finn, ask them if they have a cabin. I bet their family does. You will see people from the cities go out and spend weekends or weeks or months out in their cabins simply fishing and going through the forests and picking mushrooms and picking berries and barbecuing and just relaxing. It's sounds amazing. And I really think that a lot of us over here in the West could really take a take a tip from them and have some relaxation. Hiking, mountain biking, glacier hikes. There are so many national parks, as I mentioned before, so many options, beaches you can go to even in the north, the far north of these countries. You might not want to spend too long in the water, but the beaches are stunning. Um, then you have Norway's Alle Malmstraten, Sweden's Alle Malmstraten, and Finland's Jokamiehenoikeus, which are every man's land. So these are rules that are laws from each of their local government or each of their governments that basically say if it is public land, like a national park or a national forest or just an open land, if you are able to, you can go out and you can forage there, and it is your right to do so as a citizen. So you can go out into the national park and pick blueberries or cloudberries or find some chanterelles and have them for dinner. We have opportunities for you to join in with a local and learn how to do this yourself so you're not stuck trying to identify things you're not aware of. But there are options that are available to you in the summer, and it is so much fun to go mushroom picking. Especially, it just has this magical feel to it, walking through this forest and just really basking in it. We talk about tree bathing in other cultures, but getting back to nature and also getting some amazingly delicious things for dinner. There are fjord cruises, kayaking, stand-up paddle boards, really just about anything you can imagine when you have water, when you have mountains, when you have all these things nearby. And in Iceland, Reykjavik goes absolutely crazy with summer festivals. So if you're interested in music, if you want to try and see Bjork doing a DJ set, whatever it is, um, Reykjavik is amazing in summertime. A lovely little ice cave. in Iceland. In the colder seasons, it's still entirely worthwhile going to these countries in the winter. It's like a different world. Early this morning, I was just speaking to a Finn, and she was joking about how she doesn't like Finland because you don't want to go in the winter. But I also have talked to many who absolutely love it because you can go ice fishing, you can go on reindeer sleigh rides, you can meet the local huskies, you can definitely do sauna and spend longer in the sauna. There are places where they will cut a hole in the ice for you next to where the sauna is so you can jump in the frosty water and then get back in the sauna to heat yourself up. I've been threatening to throw my son in later this year. You have hot springs in Iceland in particular, so many of them. Snowshoeing. There is an option where you can put on this big puffy coat and just float in the water. You can do it in the summer, but in the winter is almost even better because you have the northern lights hopefully to stare up at. Imagine that scenario. Cross country skiing, aurora hunting comes in many forms. You could do it by vehicle, you could do it by boat, you could do it by sleigh. We could take you out into the middle of the wilderness and you can set up a camp there with a fire and just gaze up at the lights. So there's really a ton of options. And then I alluded earlier to the fact that the cultures embrace the cold weather. So they have things, I'm sure you've heard of hygge, which is the way you pronounce the Hygge. Hygge was a really hot topic in the media a couple years ago, and there were books written about it. There's also the concept of kals, of mis, and kalsarikani, and all of these are they're kind of about comfort and warmth and not doing too much, just the right amount, about relaxation and coziness. And one of my favorites is the last one here, the kalsari kanit. Uh, it is translates directly into drinking at home alone in your underwear. And it's a Finnish thing. So it's really funny. They also call it like no pansen. And it's not necessarily having to drink, but it's about staying home, being cozy, relaxing, and just taking that time and not feeling guilty about it. I feel that a lot of us, in our culture, at least in the US, feel that go, 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 go constantly. And to know that this is an embraced cultural norm of just sitting back, kicking up your legs, and realizing it's winter. I'm just gonna treat myself a little and relax. So definitely worthwhile. You can go into cafes and you can go into restaurants and just warm up or spend a day just in and out of the sauna, whatever it is, it's going to relax you. So here at Global Base Camps, we focus on ethically and environmentally conscious travel, and that goes for everywhere we work. So it's not just in countries where, we're not riding elephants and the like, but also thinking about these countries that, are different from us, but not in huge ways, but respecting and appreciating their culture, having minimal impact on their natural environments. So anytime you go hiking, take it with you. Don't litter, don't go off piste, don't do anything that locals wouldn't be comfortable doing. Highlighting local cuisine. I run into this with a lot of folks, and I know that not everyone wants to go out of their comfort zone, but think about it when you're traveling. Try to eat what is locally produced and seasonal because that's going to be the best representation of the local food. If you're determined to eat the kind of food you eat at home, you're not going to necessarily immerse yourself in that aspect of the local culture. So try and step out of your comfort zone just a little bit. I don't mean you have to order a sheep's head and eat that for dinner. It is normal in Norway, but I would not do that. So we're not here to judge, but definitely try the local cuisine. Try something you wouldn't think to try at home, and let the best produce and the best options be something you'd consider. Slow travel. This has it's a bit of a buzzword lately, or two buzzwords, but slow down and don't feel like you have to have a list that you're ticking off. I feel giving yourself at least one free day in a city or one day to just take it all in and relax can slow down the trip in a way that lets you appreciate the things that you've done so far on the trip, appreciate where you're staying and the amenities perhaps, and also look forward to what you're going to do the following day, but have a few minutes to breathe and just distress, I think. Slow travel allows us to do that. If we have 4 or 5 days in a city versus 2 days in a city, you can see more of it. We don't have to curate every single minute. Maybe you want a free day to check out some of the amazing museums. Maybe you just want to walk through neighborhoods. Whatever it is, talk to us about it. Talk to us about the things that you enjoy, and we might come up with a great suggestion for you. So, some of my favorite days traveling, no matter where I am, are just having a wander and seeing what's around. It's not conducive for every single destination we work in, but for most of the places that we help you arrange in the Nordics, it's 100% worthwhile and doable. Making use of the excellent public transportation. Uh, you have trams, you have trains, you have ferries, there are flights to different destinations as well that you can do, but making use of these as opposed to taking individual taxis, a lot of the places will have bicycles available to borrow from the city during the summers, during the warmer months, and you'll see a lot of locals using these as well because you don't really need to have a car, and particularly in the capitals and the larger cities. So see how the locals are getting around and copy them a little bit, and it'll help you make the most of your time. And locally run services are another thing that we really promote. We work with local partners. We want the money that you want to spend on travel to be helping and improving the countries that you're going to. So we work with locally run services, activities, guides, and the goal there is to make sure that you're learning about the country not just through a historic tour or a museum, but also just chatting with your guide and finding out, oh, what do you do on the weekends, or what do you make for your family at dinner at night, or what do you do in the summers? Do you have a cabin? Just chatting and learning that way is really wonderful. So local cuisine. This is the s'moresbrod, which is pretty famous. It's mostly just that usually thin bread, kind of the rye style of bread with a variety of sandwiches, like an open face sandwich. So lots of fun ingredients on top. They're really popular in Denmark and as well as the capitals because it just kind of is a style of food that has transcended and spread throughout the region. You have, I always forget the name of this, the kanelbuller. It's the Swedish cinnamon bun. I haven't had this one yet, but I did have a copy in Oslo, and it was okay, but I want to try the Swedish one because I think it'd be better. This is a special food in the region of Finland that borders with Russia. So here you can see they have, I believe it's the salmon, and the sauce is really kind of stealing the show. But the food is fresh, it's all seasonal, it's all locally caught, it looks amazing. And then this one, not so amazing, but a bit of a challenge. This is hakarl and Brennivin. So hakarl is fermented Greenland shark, which I wouldn't say it tastes good. It is a challenge. It's it's something that they sell to visitors, usually to tourists in Iceland. You can easily find it in Reykjavik, and it almost always comes to the Brennivin because it is so strong that you have to use the Brennivin as kind of a cleanser, a palate cleanser to wash your mouth out after having the hakarl. But it is an experience I'm glad I had. Would I do it again? No. But there you go. Take it or leave it. So, respectful travel, we talked about leaving no trace, spending your money at local restaurants and markets with local craftspeople. I didn't find that to be difficult when I've been traveling in the Nordics. I know a lot of places that are considered very tourist focused, like in Thailand or Indonesia. You might have crafts and things that are brought in or are machine made or things like that. I didn't experience that personally in the Nordics, and I think it's a little bit easier to buy from local craftspeople. They do have stores where you can buy souvenirs and things all in one place, but they also note where it came from and if there was a certain people that created it or what local destination it came from. So I find that that's really wonderful, and they really represent the different cultures in their countries. So learn a few words in the local languages. They love it. Everybody loves it, and it does give you a little insight into the culture as well. And you can read some menus, which is fun. No photos of local ceremonies and things. You're not going to run into that often, but if someone happens to be having a wedding or is doing something, just have that normal respect and ask if you could take a photo first. Celebrate our differences. Like I said, chat with your guides, chat with other people. I know that the Nordic countries get a little bit of a reputation as being standoffish or quiet. Uh, they're probably not going to start a conversation with you on the street, but if you sidle up to a bar and maybe buy around or have a chat with somebody, I guarantee you you'll start making friends pretty quickly. The sauna as well, if people are chatting in the sauna, I have found the friendliest people in the sauna, and they want to teach you about it and they want to help you, and they also want to put a lot of water on the lolo and make you sweat profusely. So be gentle or be careful with yourself and keep an open mind. You never know what experiences you're going to have. So I'm going to show you a few of our popular or just really lovely hotels, one for each of the countries that I'm representing here for the most part. This is the Retreat at Blue Lagoon in Grindavik in Iceland. You may have heard of Grindavik in the news because they have a volcano that has been erupting somewhat horizontally, which is kind of wonderful. You can go. There was an opportunity at one point to do a helicopter flight over the erupting volcano, not dangerously over, but around it. But Grindavik is home to the Blue Lagoon, which is an incredibly famous and wonderful hot spring. You can stay here at the retreat and you have access to the kind of private retreat area of the Blue Lagoon. So it's a little bit more um, reserved just for those staying there. You have access to their spa, and it's stunning and otherworldly. It looks like you're on the moon. So I stayed last year in Hotel Brosendet in Aalesund in Norway. I loved it. I thought it was just an adorable hotel. Everybody was incredibly kind. It's right on the fjord, and you can see here they have a sauna, which is outside, and then you pop out of the sauna, you walk down the dock, and you jump into the fjord. And it is cold, but then you climb back out and you go right in the sauna. So it's really lovely. And then over here on the right, you have this lighthouse, which is at the end of the access to that part of the fjord. And you can rent out the sauna, and that photo right above it here, or rent out the lighthouse rather. The photo right above it is the room that you can have. It's really popular with honeymooners. They'll even bring your breakfast to you in a little basket in the morning so you have privacy. It's very cute. This is the Tree Hotel Harads in Sweden and Swedish Lapland. So this particular one here is covered in birdhouses. This one is covered in mirror glass. All of the different rooms that you can rent here or that you could stay in here are up in the trees and have their own unique features, and it's just really beautiful. The Wilderness Hotel in Inari in northern Finland. Again, we have these igloos that we were talking about, the glass igloos where you can see the northern lights. The summertime, it's right on the shore of Lake Inari, so it's really, really lovely in the summer as well. And they have tons of activities that you can do in these locations. So you're not just going there to stay in the igloo the whole time. You can go out during the day and you can play with the husky puppies. You can go sledding. You can go snowshoeing. You can stay as active as you like, or you can hang out in the sauna all day, and that's fine too. A walrus, just because. And then how can we help you if you want to plan a trip to these region or this region? So we know the region, we know the seasons, the holidays. We can help you determine the best time for your trip based on what you're hoping to get out of it. We've vetted these accommodations for a deeper experience and benefiting their communities. There are certain places we do not work with because they don't treat their staff well, or we've had negative feedback. So we are constantly in a state of whittling down the best for our clients. We arrange the best routing to avoid wasted time. So we're familiar with the flight routes and the trains, and if you could take an overnight train or a ferry and save yourself that transit. We have a deep well of knowledge to develop your trip for your specific hopes and needs. And we also work really closely with our local partners. So if there's something that we don't have the answer to personally, we can reach out to our team members on the ground there and discuss it with them or create a completely unique experience for you if you want a different activity. So really ask, you never know. And there are so many things that we can help you do. All right, so I wanted to open it up to questions. Megan, I'm not sure exactly how much time we have, so please feel free to.
Yeah, we're good. I think we've got it. We can have time for a couple questions.
Okay.
Looks like we've got one in the chat that was already answered, but about some of the Icelandic food. I don't know if you can see that question, but we do have an open one of which country has the best chances of seeing the northern lights.
So the farther north you can go, the better. So I would say you don't want to go to Denmark for the Northern Lights. Sorry, Denmark. You're too far south. I would say either Iceland because it's pretty high up there to begin with, or anywhere in northern Norway, Sweden, or Finland. I would say all of them have hotels that are specifically there for Northern Lights viewing. If you're going during those winter months from September through March, you're going to stand a good chance. Obviously, if you go farther north, you're going to have a better chance because you're going to run into entire days that are dark. So the farther north you can go during the right season, the best chances you have.
Awesome. Another question was, do you do like the organized trips or create like custom trips?
So everything we do is custom. So that being said, if you have a group that you would like to arrange a trip for, we can assist with that. We don't have, let's say, like one individual traveler joining a group that we have in place, though. So we can work with a group of people, but normally we arrange trips for solo travelers, couples, families, groups of friends, that type of thing.
Cool. Another one was, could you please briefly describe how you price your services?
So everything we arrange is bundled pricing. So we don't break it down by individual components. We're a comprehensive travel company, so we include all your transportation upon arrival. We can do international flights, but that's not our specialty. We work with an air desk. So we would have you arrange to pick up at the airport, all of your accommodations, however much guiding and activities you want to have, and whatever that total price comes to, that would be the total cost of your trip. So it is very flexible during the planning process. If you come to me and you say, this is what I want, this is my budget, and it's not possible within either the length of trip or the star level, and we need to whittle things down, or vice versa, if you have extra in the budget, we can give you suggestions as to where you may opt to splurge, or we can just not use your whole budget. Our goal is to make the trip the best trip possible for you within your parameters as much as we can.
Awesome. How do you cater to solo travelers, especially for activities like hiking? Do you arrange a guide slash ranger? Any info on that?
So it's possible. We can definitely arrange guides to go with you for certain hikes. I can tell you, I've done some hikes by myself with absolutely no concerns in Norway and Finland. It's really just dependent on where you're going and the difficulty level. Like we can do a guided hike out to, what is it? The troll Stigen, like the big troll nose or troll's tongue, is that what I think it's called in Norway? We can even do an overnight over by it. But you can go to the national parks and you can hike some of the trails without the need for any guide there. But if you would feel more comfortable with one, we can usually arrange one for you.
Awesome. One more question, and then any of the other questions we didn't get to, I'll follow up with you guys one-on-one, so you guys have all your information. But last one is about the Viking history. Like, would you suggest any other than the Viking Museum in Oslo, if you have any?
Oh, Viking history. So this is my specialty right now. Um, I, I know more about Vikings than you care to. Um, so for our trip, we're going to definitely hit the Viking Boat Museum that is in Oslo, which looks amazing. There are Viking tours in Oslo that can take you to a couple different places, and there's like a VR experience. In Iceland, in Reykjavik, they have a really wonderful museum that looks it's just this normal building, and you pop in and it has a beautifully done um, kind of a changing diorama of what the history of the area was and when Vikings came in, when people came in, and how it changed the land. And there are smaller museums and things around with aspects of Norse mythology, which was a big part of the Viking history as well. So, like, there's a troll museum in Tromsø, and you can what is it? You can get a troll certificate in Iceland if you want to learn about trolls. They have all kinds of fun, kooky stuff around that. But as far as delving into Viking history, I would say Oslo, Denmark actually has a ton of stones with original runes carved into them. So there are some really cool things that you can see depending on what aspect of history you're most interested in.
Awesome. I know we got a couple more questions rolling in, but we are just about time for the webinar. So if you want to move to the next slide, I think there's one more, if I remember
Yes. Thank you for your time, one. That's not an outhouse, by the way.
correctly. That's hilarious. I'll just say briefly and really quickly, everyone's gonna get the recording of this, so stay tuned for that, and then stay tuned for if you guys had any questions, we'll have all of this, and so we'll make sure to get you guys everything that you need. And that'll
Yeah,
have
and we'll post it on YouTube as well, so you'll have access to it if you want to share it with anybody. And thank you so much for listening to me go on about the Nordic region. It's stellar, and you should definitely go.
In the Viking region too.
The Viking region. As my son says, yes, everyone go visit the Viking region.
Thank you everyone for jumping on, and we will follow up with you soon.